Hello, good afternoon, happy Wednesday. I think that's the sun. For those of you who have never called me live before, my name is Jewel. I am a grateful recovering addict. I will celebrate 9 years clean in August of this year. I'm going to go live with my brother-in-law, Joe. Going to invite a couple people while I wait for him to pop on. We are going to read the gist for today, which is Fear of the Fourth Step. Hey guys. Hello, hello. Just waiting on Joe to get on. He should be on any second. So we're going to read the gist for today, which is Fear of the Fourth Step. And then we'll probably have something else to discuss as well, depending on what Joe has in mind. Hello, hello. Just trying to invite people while I wait for Joe to get on. If you know somebody in recovery that you think might need this message, please feel free to share this video out. Again, we're going to go over Fear of the Fourth Step. I have the fourth step with me. I also have the basic text that I'm going to read from, a little piece from as well. There's Joe. Yeah, I felt that my screen was dirty, but I think it's just the way the sun's coming in the car. Hey, Joe.
What's up, y'all?
So I want to wait just a minute because your wife said she was getting on, and I know that she'll share it into all the groups for us.
I mean, but all right.
Well, I know, you too, but she likes to copy the responses over so we can respond to the ones we can't see. So I brought the gist for today. I sent it to you earlier. It's Fear of the Fourth Step. And then I also...
You know I ain't read it.
Well, I know, that's what I'm telling you. It's Fear of the Fourth Step. And then you know how at the beginning it always has like a little blurb and then it says basic text, page whatever? I brought the basic text also, so I could look in that too if we needed it. So,
check you out.
I know. I told Josh, I was like, Joe's going to be just blown away because I'm like actually ready. Like was literally had ate a little snack and was just waiting for you to come on. So to let me know you were ready. So,
Well, let's go.
Okay, let me do our shameless plugs before we get started. For those of you that are watching, whether you're local or not, Joe and I'm going to say Joe and I, we host recovery awareness events in Maryland when he's here. Our next one is going to be in August on the 3rd called Breaking the Chains, and that will be in Chestertown, Maryland from 10 to 2 at the Firehouse. If anybody's interested in donating, we accept donations of any kind, whether you want to send money directly to the nonprofit that we're serving this year, or if you have like a gift basket or you want to buy something for the gift basket donation, you can do that as well. We're also selling t-shirts that say Breaking the Chains on the front, and then on the back they say in loving memory of Wendy Hewitt, which is Joe's mom. You can change the name, and I'll put all the information for the t-shirts in the comments when we're finished. Also, I put the links to our pages, Breaking the Chains, Marching to Recovery, and Midshore Restoring Hope in Women in the description of the video. Hey, Becky, how are you? So if you don't mind, please join those, like them, share them out, all that good stuff. So now that all that is out of the way, we'll start with the gist for today. May 15th, Fear of the Fourth Step. As we approach this step, most of us are afraid that there's a monster inside of us that, if released, will destroy us. I knew that was gonna. Hey, Shara, I'm literally just reading, so you're getting on perfect time. Most of us are terrified to look at ourselves, to probe our insides. We're afraid that if we examine our actions and motives, we'll find a bottomless black pit of selfishness and hatred. But as we take the fourth step, we'll find that those fears were unwarranted. We're human, just like everyone else. No more, no less. We all have personality traits that we're not especially proud of. On a bad day, we may think that our faults are worse than anyone else's. We'll have moments of self-doubt. We'll question our motives. We may even question our very existence. But if we could read the minds of our fellow members, we'd find the same struggles. We're no better or worse than anyone else. We can only change what we acknowledge and understand. Rather than continuing to fear what's buried inside us, we can bring it out into the open. We will no longer be frightened, and our recovery will flourish in the full light of self-awareness. Just for today, I fear what I don't know. I will expose my fears and allow them to vanish. And I'm going to let you go first because I hear the bus pulling up, so I'm going to have to tell Matthew to go in the house.
Jesus Christ. All right. So, we've kind of talked about this, like pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
For the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the fourth step?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Okay, for anybody who does not know, the fourth step is we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Yeah, so we kind of brushed and like breezed by this the other day.
Yeah.
When we were together on our last live video. And basically it's in my opinion, other than admitting you're powerless, which is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, this is probably, to me, in my opinion, the most important step that you're probably going to get to.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us tie in, like, we tie in our past with like a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you have to sit and reflect on all the shit you did and all the bad things you did to people that you care about. And, a lot of us struggle with that part.
Right.
And I talked about things that you can do the other day. I talked about, make your amends and let it go.
Yeah.
It sounds simple to be true, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it has to be.
Yeah.
The way somebody's going to respond to your amends is their business, not yours. And you can't, apologizing and making amends you can't have expectations or anticipation of what the result's going to be. Or you're not really truly doing it from a good place. You're doing it because you want satisfaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody's obligated to forgive you. Nobody's obligated to have a relationship with you. And so you can't make amends expecting something in return. And I told you, what?
You're only responsible for your side of the street anyway. So if you make the amends and that person decides not to forgive you, that's on them, not on you. You've done your end of it, wipe the slate and move on.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the way it's got to be. And your amends can be simple as sending a text message, sending a Facebook message, writing a letter.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if that relationship makes you nervous or that person makes you nervous,
I would write a letter.
You can simply write a letter, read it aloud,
yep,
and burn it.
Yep.
You don't even have to let that person hear it. Because it could be somebody that the relationship is damaged, the bridge is burned, and it's not going to come back.
Right.
So why put yourself out there?
Well, the amend is just as much for you as it is for the other person, Yeah.
Now, if you can make it personal, it's better that way, because you have to learn how to face your past, and you can't face it if you're hiding behind it or if you're not being direct with who you're trying to make amends for.
Right.
To me, it's the same with financial. If you stole from somebody or, you took property or you robbed somebody or whatever, obviously, if you got away with it, then you're not going to want to try to make amends for that. But if you didn't, that's a bridge you can try and cross too. I'm not saying go put yourself in harm's way,
That
but
would be one of those ones that would be best to write it out, read it aloud, and then burn it, you know?
yeah, my mom, we had a neighbor when we lived in Chestertown, and my mom was really close with him. He was a great guy. He was a really nice guy, and you know, he always gave us like, you know, $100 in a card for Christmas. You know, he would come over and talk to us and talk to mom, and he was just one of them old guys. Um, and I believe his wife passed away. I'm not too sure, but he was a really nice guy. Um, and my mom, when she went back out and, you know, started living that life again, she wrote a bunch of checks in his name, and I think she had like 40 some counts of,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah, because they put in a
theft, or
lot. They tack on a lot up for that. Yeah.
yeah, they'll smack you for every little piece of it, you
Mm.
know. Um, and so when she got clean, or when she tried to, you know, because God knows I can't even keep track of how many times she tried to get clean after that. But I remember her doing something like that with him, where she went and talked to him, and I think he didn't even want to really go through with it so much.
Mm.
I mean, he was hurt because it was somebody that he cared about, being my mom, and he was always good to us. So it burns when you're good to somebody and they fuck you over. So, but he was real understanding about it. So you know what I mean? It's like there's all kinds of ways you can make amends. You can do it personally, you can do it privately, you can write a letter and send it and not put a return address on it. You can do whatever you want,
Mm.
however you want to go about it. But it's important because um, it's part of owning up and being responsible for your actions. It's part of not being a fucking kid. And when you're in active addiction, most of us act like children.
Yeah.
Um, you could be, and it's understandable, you know, when you're in your teens and you're first starting a party and all this and that, you know, everybody understands it. Everybody went through that. But, you know, when you get older, you're in your 30s, 40s, late 20s, and you're still living like that. Um, you know, people will look at you like, man, this motherfucker never grew up.
Right.
Um, and if you carry that same energy into your recovery, where you feel like you don't have to make amends, or you know, you don't have to look inside yourself, um, I I'm willing to bet your recovery is not going to last. And the reason I say that is because uh, you know, if you make amends for something, it starts the healing process. You can start to heal from it. Um, whether it be healing that relationship or just you healing in general, where you're like, I know I came from a good place in my heart when I tried to make amends with this person, and I did all I could, and now I can move on. So just think about it like that. Don't feel like you have to bow down or keep begging. You know, that's something too. Um, and I talk about it a lot with knowing your self worth, and um, knowing that you're worthy and you're deserving of a good life. And if that baggage of trying to make amends and the amends aren't working is weighing you down, let it go. I mean, that's the best I can tell you. There's no secret, there's no magic
Right.
to it. It's just something you have to do. You have to let it go. You can't expect, you know, you can't always expect everybody to just do things the way you want. And that's part of us having to, you know, learn life after recovery, because when we were in active addiction, it was always what we wanted, when we wanted it, how we wanted it.
Yeah.
And if we couldn't get it, find a way. We do whatever we could to find a way. Um, so just keep that in mind. And, you know, if you haven't done the step work, I don't care whether you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, you should go through and do the step work, because um, I got a lot out of it. You know, my first time doing it when I did it for the videos, and I enjoyed it. I'm not, because you know, I got sober on my own. I didn't really get sober with rehab or a meeting, or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not that I could do all those things before in my past, but they never helped. They just didn't work for me. I'm just one of those like, got to do it myself type person. So obviously, I never did the step work. So when I went through it, I was really pleased with what I read and the things that I got out of it. I actually did get something out of it. So if you haven't done it, get started on it. If you're curious, You can go to our YouTube channel and find the videos on there. They're all on there.
Yeah,
We did them in the past.
I'll post the link to our YouTube channel when we're done. I wanted to read some of the stuff out of the basic text. I'm not going to go through all of it because it's a lot. My mom Liz has come over to check out Mr. Whiskers. Always something. So I'm not going to read all of it, but there was a couple little paragraphs that I did like. So it starts off with step 4. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. The purpose of a searching and fearless moral inventory is to sort through the confusion and the contradiction of our lives so that we can find out who we really are. We're starting a new way of life and need to be rid of the burdens and traps that controlled us and prevented our growth. Here's another one. Let's face it, when we were not honest with ourselves. We are becoming honest with ourselves when we admit that addiction has defeated us and that we need help. It took a long time to admit that we were beaten. We found that we do not recover physically, mentally, or spiritually overnight. Step 4 will help us towards our recovery. Most of us find that we were neither as terrible nor as wonderful as we supposed. We are surprised to find that we have good points in our inventory. Anyone who has some time in the program and has worked this step will tell you the 4th step was a turning point in their life. Some of us make the mistake of approaching the 4th step as if it were a confession of how horrible we are, what a bad person we have been. In this new way of life, a binge of emotional sorrow can be dangerous. This is not the purpose of the 4th step. We're trying to free ourselves of living in an old, useless patterns. We take the 4th step to grow and to gain strength and insight. We may approach the 4th step a number of ways. And then this last paragraph that I liked, a basic rule of thumb is that we can write too little, yet we can never write too much. The inventory will fit the individual. Perhaps this seems difficult or painful. It may appear impossible. We may fear that being in touch with our feelings will trigger an overwhelming chain reaction of pain and panic. We may feel like avoiding an inventory because of our fear of failure. When we ignore our feelings, the tension becomes too much for us. The fear of impending doom is so great that it overrides our fear of failure. An inventory becomes a relief because the pain of doing it is less than the pain of not doing it. We learn that pain can be a motivating factor in recovery. Thus, facing it becomes unavoidable. Every topic of step meetings seems to be on the 4th step or doing a daily inventory. Through the inventory process, we are able to deal with all the things that can build up. The more we live our program, the more God seems to put us in positions where issues surface. When issues surface, we write about them. We begin enjoying our recovery because we have a way to resolve shame, guilt, or resentment. I love this book. I'm so glad I found one. Because to me, and for anybody that doesn't, if you don't have a book, I know that a lot of I'm just seeing your comment, Shara. I know that a lot of the local meetings, sometimes they have extra books. They usually have books for sale, but sometimes if you go up and say that, hey, I really can't afford it, sometimes they'll be able to give you a book. I know that you can also find them in like Goodwills and thrift stores sometimes. But I really like it because it kind of breaks things down on a more, I don't want to say to a dummy level, but it makes more sense to me. So I really do like the basic text for anybody who, and if you can't find one anywhere, send us a message and we'll see if we can get you one. So we got Amanda books before, so I'm sure we could get more books if we need to.
We live in the internet age, so if you can't find one, you can do what I did and you can get online and look it up.
Yeah,
they break it down.
I would really like you to send me the worksheets that you found before, because I don't have the worksheets, and I know that the worksheets.
Yeah, they break it down piece by piece. It'll have the text for the step, and then it'll have like a worksheet that goes with it, which I like the most. I didn't really care much about the text because it's all about doing the work for me. So I like the worksheet more than I did the actual text.
Yeah.
And on the worksheet, they'll have the summary at the top.
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll have all the questions and all the things they want you to do for each step.
Yeah.
And I found it really beneficial. So if anybody wants to know, you can get online, you can find it.
I know you
So
Googled them before, so if you want to Google it and then send it to me, I can pin it in our group also for others that may want to see it.
okay, I'll do that tonight. But it's really convenient. It almost looks like a commandment wheel or something, like made of stone,
Hmm.
and it has a step on each piece. Like, so you just click on the step that you're on, and then it'll drop down with the worksheet. But you have to type in the worksheet, and it's going to open up as like a PDF.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it did for me. And then you can just, pull up, download the PDF, and roll with it.
A basic text. Can you send me a friend request so that way I can send you a message? See if we can find one.
Yeah, everybody, if you want to send us requests on our personal page, feel free. If you have to message us, if you need something, feel free. We are open to communication. We're not just a video, we're also real people. So if you need anything, you can reach out. And I always try to respond within, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
By the end of the day. So
On the back, on the back of the book, it says, many books have been written about the nature of addiction. This book primarily concerns itself with the nature of recovery. If you're an addict and have found this book, please give yourself a break and read it.
yeah, bingo. That's why I like the book, because I thought it was gonna be all about addiction, and I always say on here when we talk about it or we bring it up, it literally does not talk about getting clean or sober hardly at all. It rarely even mentions drug use or anything really. It's all about the real work that comes after. Like I always said, a lot of people, man, they just think they get clean and get sober and that's it. And you find them complaining all the time about dumb shit, and you realize like, hey, you must not really be doing the work.
Right.
Because it's like you're clean and sober, and now what? And it's getting clean and sober is the easy part. Staying clean and sober is the hard part. And the only way you're gonna stay clean and sober is if you keep working at it. And there's so many different things that you can do to work at it. The text is there. If you're a meeting person, the meetings are there. If you feel like really struggling and you need to go back to rehab, you can go back to rehab. There's sober living houses.
Yeah.
There's a 1,000,000,001 clean and sober pages on Facebook where they're always, I think I see videos on the clean and sober page. Anybody that hasn't followed, go follow it, because
Yeah.
people do a lot of videos on there. There's a lot of interaction on there, and I think it's good. A lot of people I see dip out from the group and they complain about some random stupid ass troll comment or somebody being a douchebag in the comment. It's like, you're not there for that. Just find what's good and leave the rest alone. Don't worry about the rest. You can't be responsible for every little thing every little person says. And you'll let somebody dim your shine and short you out of your recovery because there's one asshole out of the bunch or a handful of them out of however many thousand are in the group.
Right.
So just like I always said, man, if somebody is posting a trigger post or somebody's trying to be controversial and fuck, man, don't pay no attention to that shit. You never know what headspace somebody's in. It's a clean and sober group, so you never know what you're gonna get in the group. You never know what headspace somebody's gonna be in, and the administrator can only do so much.
And I'm sure they have more than one, but still, I know that a few weeks ago they hit 50,000 members, so that's a lot of people in one group. It's not all gonna be golden. It's not all gonna relate directly to you, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other people that it's not gonna relate to. You just kind of have to. It's like going to the grocery store. Just pick out what you need from it and move on.
Right. And I like to say too, it's like those people on there that might be acting like douchebags or assholes, they might be the people hurting the most. So always think twice before you comment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't get in there and bash somebody. I just seen something the other day. This guy, he posted a picture, and he had a whole bunch of money banded up, and he was like, I'm so glad I get to spend this on other things rather than drugs. Basically saying like, look what you're capable of. and so many fucking people got on there and trolled him and questioned his money, and I'm just
Can you see it?
like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, mind your fucking, why? It doesn't matter. Just be like, congratulations. It's so great that life is so much better after drugs and alcohol. It's so great that we can spend money on other things. It's so great that we can actually hang on to our money and earn our money.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you're drinking and doing drugs, most of the hardcores I know, they didn't even have a fucking job. Tried to get they tried to get they try to go get a check. A lot of them try to go get a disability check or a crazy check, so they don't got to work
Right.
because it consumes their life to the point where they can't do anything else. Um, so you know what I'm saying? If you see something that's that doesn't apply to you, just let it the fuck go. You don't have to comment. You don't have to react to everything.
I want to answer. Sorry, Stephanie. I was talking about the blue book, the basic text. And Candace, you asked, is it the green or gold workbook? I know that the NA workbook is green and gold. I don't have one. What we were talking about specifically was back in, I think it was December, Joe and I had went over the steps. We did probably close to 12 videos, but because I know some of the steps we combined 2 into 1 video. But he had found worksheets online, and I'm not certain if they're the same ones from the workbook or if there's something else someone created, because I didn't really realize this until recently. But for example, Africus has made a recovery workbook. It's not step work. It's got like daily affirmations and different things you can do each day to help in your recovery. So a lot of people make books like that. So the ones we were talking about, I don't know if the ones Joe got were specifically from the green and gold workbook or if they were something somebody else had created, but he found those online. And then, okay, good. Yeah, so. And I had the Just for
So
Today
anyway,
book
back to
also.
what I was
That's what we
saying,
started
and
with.
on the video and on the videos that you see me do, or you see us doing, I harp on positivity. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I might come off sometimes kind of rash, or I could get hot-headed sometimes, but I always try to come from a positive place. And it's so easier to be positive. It's so much easier to speak good into other people's lives, speak good into your lives, say nice things to people. It costs you nothing, and you don't lose anything from it.
Right.
All you got to do is gain from it. And the positivity is contagious. It'll spread to other people. It'll overwhelm you and take you over to where you find that you're happier. You find that all these other things are going right in your life. And it may take some time, but it really works. And it just kind of pisses me off when there's an opportunity where you can say something positive and people don't.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, it just speaks on where they're at in their recovery, and not because a lot of people, they come into recovery and they think they know it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some of them think they know everything, and even the ones has been here forever, and they might be old
I was going to
school,
say, especially the ones who have been around a time or two.
but none of us know anything.
Right.
We know what we learn from each other. We know what works for us individually. So when we spread our message, and we try to give advice, it's just our opinion. It's just our advice. It's what works for us. It's what's worked for people we know. So we try to spread it around. And if it works for you, hang on to it and use it. If it don't work for you, drop it, let it go, and go find something for you. But just be aware, like, if you're in these groups and you're a part of these recovery groups, try to be positive. If you have a concern, or you have something that's really bugging you, inbox that person and keep it private. You know what I'm saying?
Or your sponsor.
Yeah, it's just a little piece of advice, because I see a lot of I just see a lot of negativity sometimes on the pages where, and I talk about being humble, but don't be humble to the point where you're just not confident. You know what I'm saying? don't be humble to the point where you don't have pride and you're not grateful and you're not thankful and you're not, you know, I don't know, just campaigning for you.
Right.
If you get clean and sober, fucking scream that shit out. If you got a good job because you stay clean and sober for a little bit, scream about it.
Tell the world.
Yeah.
You never knew who you're going to inspire. You know what I mean? That's what I think is a big thing for me. It's like, you know, we do these videos and we'll have people that will comment days later about how they needed that exact message right then and there. And it's like, we just show up, you know, we show up and let the universe work its magic. The universe brings you exactly what you need. And sure, sometimes the universe is going to bring you things you don't need or you feel like you don't need, and just let it go. Take what you need and move on. I'm glad you brought that up, Joe.
Yeah, and you never know what you're gonna say to somebody because people in recovery are can be sensitive sometimes.
Yeah.
So if they're sensitive, why would you say something negative that might hurt them? It's like when people do the sober selfies and then people are like, oh, you're just looking for attention, you know, you're putting yourself out there, you're thirsty, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, they feel good because they finally feel like they look good for the first time in a long time. They finally got a glow on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let them be, let them do their thing. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you need for your confidence, then do it. Do what you need to feel confident. If you feel confident about yourself for the first time in a long time, fucking spread that shit.
She's waiting on me.
Diana's always on point.
She is. I was just going to ask, do you remember what it was you said last week?
I don't remember, but I know you posted a status
It was
about
something I did. It was something along the lines of I know it was something along of speaking and listening. Something to do with being defensive also. I just can't remember the exact wording. Dang it.
Learn to speak without being offensive and learn to listen without being defensive or something like that.
Yes, something like that. Yep. And that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I had somebody else comment days later about it, and I was like, I didn't say it. Diana said it because I was so tickled. So, well, I guess I have to go now, Joe.
All right, Jules been summoned.
Speak without offending and listen without defending. Yeah.
All right.
You had it, Joe. You had it. All right, guys. We will be back Friday. I'm gonna go live tomorrow with somebody in my network. Her name is Danica. I'm really excited to do a live with her. She's gonna talk about some of the products that she offers that she feels may be good for others in recovery. It's not gonna be about buying products or things like that. It's specifically gonna be informative. So I'm excited for that. And then you and I will go Friday. Pray, stay sober. So don't forget, you can join our Breaking the Chain support group. You can like our pages, Marching to Recovery and Made Sure Restoring Hope in Women. I'm going to drop the comments for the YouTube channel, as well as I'll drop a link for our group. Well, the group's in the description of the video, but I'll also put t-shirt information for anybody who may be interested. And I think that is it. So we will see you guys back on Friday.
All right, y'all.
All right, guys.
Have a good one. Stay sober, even if it's just for today. Like we said before, if you need anything, reach out, and I'll see you on Friday.
All right. Bye-bye.